actually realized that there is more bacteria than we can even imagine. What we can actually see there is a very tiny, tiny sample of bacteria. So you shake my hand. I just share with you some bacteria. Are you happy? You know,
that's the good bacteria.
We don't find those public telephone boxes anymore, but can you imagine people talking and then somebody else comes and sharing it, and somebody else comes and sharing it, and then everyone else, you know, just getting the runny nose and feeling ran down. We're sharing bacteria. In fact, I am actually loaded with bacteria right now. So you are also loaded with bacteria. We cannot escape it. The majority of bacteria actually is positive. Now, imagine this. You are Father Abraham. You have, let's say, 3,000 goats, and you have an army of workers that will work for you. So they're milking the goats, and they're collecting all this milk. And it's about 32 degrees temperature in the Middle East. So what you need to do very quickly is get that milk inside the fridge, and you'll be all right. No fridge. There is no fridge. Now, when you get raw milk, by the way, we're not talking about the milk that is in the shops. That, I don't know what that is white liquid. But we're not talking about that. When you actually get raw milk, remember, your father Abraham, you just got raw milk. Guess what? If you shake my hands, you already got bacteria. If that milk is exposed to the air, within a minute has been inoculated with bacteria already. Now, the milk itself has some living enzymes, because it hasn't been pasteurized, has living enzymes in it, and the living enzymes start working along with the bacteria. You got buttermilk by the time you start with the first goat, and you go to goat number 30, you turn around, the yogurt is following you behind you. You can't keep up with the yogurt. The yogurt is just coming too quickly. It's going to catch up. Come on, keep on milking the goat, because the yogurt is coming. You cannot escape it because of the environment that you're living in. Remember, you are Father Abraham. So, if you don't control that environment and you expose that milk to any type of bacteria, today the milk tastes good. Tomorrow the milk tastes awful because it has been exposed to a different type of bacteria. So one of the things that they used to do, they used to make sure that they will inoculate the milk with the strain of bacteria that they wanted. And they actually have some yeast sometimes that will put in it, and that yeast was actually, it's not the same yeast that you see in the shops, you know, there's granules. I don't know what that is, but it's not the same thing. Okay? So they used to put like a living yeast in it, full of a particular bacteria, to make sure that that will grow in numbers very quickly, and if the milk was exposed to any other type of bacteria, that it won't be room for that bacteria to make the milk taste bad. You have more than 3 trillion cells in your body. Is that a lot? No, it's not as much as the US debt, but it's getting close. Now, every single cell in your body, every single cell of them, they actually have an intrinsic information twinkle up together, and it's called the DNA. That tells you the color of your hair, the color of your skin, the color of your eyes, the shape, everything. 3 trillion, over 3 trillion cells. And that's who you are, right? Well, when you think about it, you have inside you something that does not share your DNA at all. It has a total different DNA, and there are not 3 trillion of them, but rather more than 30 trillion of them. Think about this. You have inside your body, your nose, your ears, and your gut, and many other places, bacteria that are in number 10 times more than the number of the cells of your body. But the digestive tract is just a tube. The food is still not in your body. Did you get that? It still has to move from that tube inside the body. Let's say we got a PVC pipe from here down. And let's go to imagine that that pipe is my digestive tract. If I put an almond inside that tract, is the content of that almond inside my system? No. It actually needs to go through the walls of that tube into my system. So when the absorption is impaired, you can still be eating all the healthy stuff, but you still suffer from malnutrition. Now notice this. This is amazing, friends. This is amazing. All. How many? All neurotransmitters are made in the gut. So when you hear the word neurotransmitters, what things come to mind? Brain. When you're talking about serotonin, is a feeling good hormone, right? Brain. Guess where 95% of serotonin receptors are? In your gut. 95% in your gut. So how are you going to feel? Are you going to feel good and feeling good with the serotonin hormone if your gut has all those receptors all crooked or wasted away? No. We have more nerve endings in our gut than in our spine. Did you know that? That's why a person can actually have a swimming accident or an accident and break the spine from here down. And what happens? If you break the spine from here down, you can't move what? Your legs. But if it's higher up, it will affect your arms. It can even affect your neck. Can you still eat?
No,
yes. Can you still evacuate? Yes. How? Nerve endings. How can that be? This is called the enteric nervous system, and it works to a certain degree by itself. 84% of the people that were diagnosed with anxiety or depression, they also have gastrointestinal issues. 67% trace of anxiety relate to IBS. You know what IBS is? We'll answer questions at the end. Do you know what IBS is? Sorry? Irritable bowel syndrome. Now, let's say I'm going to treat irritable bowel syndrome with food and probiotics. Food and probiotics alone. I'm not going to touch the anxiety. I'm not going to touch the stress. I'm not going to try to tackle the panic attacks. I'm not going to tackle any of that. Only with food. What is the percentage that is in my favor? Less than 40%, isn't it? 33%. So if you have ABS and you come and see me as a nutritionist, I'm going to recommend some probiotics. I'm going to recommend some foods. But I need to tackle the big elephant in the room. What is the big elephant in the room? 67% of the triggers of IBS is related to anxiety symptoms. The absence of probiotic bacteria in the gut can have adverse effects not only locally in the gut, but also been shown to affect central HPA and monoaminergic activity, featuring that have been implicated in the etiology of depression. When what? When there is an absence of what? Ah. So the low probiotic count will be related to people suffering of what? Depression. Because there is a gut-brain connection. So if you come to me because you have issues in your gut and you also present with depression, I need to take that into account, don't I? IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, it might affect up to 20% of the population in modern society.